So we've talked about working the back, working the arms. Now we're going to start on talking about the legs. These posterior legs, the back of the legs. One of the main things, or one of the most important things to do, of course, is draping. So with the draping is how we start, and we want to pay attention to how we do this to make sure that we protect the client as much as possible. So the same thing kind of what we did with the back. We're going to take this, and we're going to get this out the way. So we're going to move this further than we know, further than what we need the flat sheet for, so that this is protected. We're going to make sure that we don't whip this blanket up, because again, if they don't have any happen to have any undergarments on, you don't want any wind hitting the genital area. So what we're going to do is we're going to take it and we're going to accordion up, and we're going to let this drape over the leg. Okay. And so as we do this, I'm going to get this as far up as I can, get some slack. And one way to do this is take it and tuck under here, underneath the knee, underneath the leg, and where enough space in the leg is showing to work it. Tighten the fitted sheet, and we're going to take and tuck underneath on around the hip, so it's tucked on both sides. You can do this if you're just working the leg. If you think you're going to be moving the leg quite a bit, you might want to do a diaper drape, or what I call a diaper drape. And that's where not just tucking it in, but pulling the sheet through, which is what we'll show today. So if that's the case, I'm going to bend the knee, I'm going to lift it, and I'm going to take the blanket, and I'm going to tighten it up, so that while we have the same draping, the same type of draping we had, is a lot more secure, and it's not going to go anywhere. Plus, if I need to stretch or do something like that, she can just hold it and keep herself secure, so she feels secure and everything stays safe. So that is a good way to drape. So we'll get some cream. And the cream, again, we don't need a lot, just enough to get some glide going. I've got just a little bit too much, so I'm gonna go ahead and move it around. Now it looks like I'm massaging over this endangerment site. We don't want to massage or put any pressure here, but what I'm doing is going straight over. Okay. Now, as you're starting to massage, you want to massage proximal and distal, just like we did the arm. So we're going to start on the upper part of the leg. Make sure the drape is tight. We're warming up the area with effleurage. And again, I'm taking input in, making sure that I'm moving with my body. Doing two-handed, you can do one-handed, alternating hands. Yeah, that you were doing before. But right now, I'm just checking to see if there's any knots, anything I need to pay attention to. And you want to make sure, one of the things I was having issues with in school was I was putting pressure down and I was letting my thumb drag behind, kind of like this. And I was keeping my fingers spread and putting a lot of pressure down, and it was actually pulling on my thumb, which was part of what was the reason it wore my thumb out. And that's essentially the same thing as if you tied a weight around if you have friction coming against your thumb, especially you're pulling your thumb out. And that'd be essentially the same thing as if I tied a weight around my thumb and I try to pick it up. It was pull too much on my thumb, and your thumb muscle obviously doesn't have the big enough muscle to hold any kind of weight like that. So I don't really use my thumb. And what I try to do is I'll try to relax my fingers so there's no pressure in my fingers. But what I'm doing is relaxing my fingers and letting my pressure come through my legs, down my arms, into my hands, without creating any tension on my fingers. And you can do this in a circular fashion, straight on. Again, you can iron. And I do like to do this. I will iron, particularly if they're sensitive and they want pressure. You can do the same thing with the other one on the IT band this way. Make sure you want to work the IT band and check the IT band. Again, we're warming it up. Once you get it nice and warmed up, and you can do petrissage is another stroke. It works well. I like to go from the inside of the leg to the middle to the outside. I usually go back to doing some effleurage just to feel, see if it needs any work. You want to make sure that you're careful how far up the leg you go to make sure you're tracing that barrier that you created. So with the draping, you created a natural barrier. You don't want one to cross that natural barrier. No matter where you place that barrier at, you don't want to come underneath it in order for her to feel safe. Some people will feel, it does feel intrusive when you go underneath, just like it feels intrusive when somebody comes underneath the underwear. Even if they don't say it, they may feel it, or there may just be something that makes them uncomfortable. They're not quite sure what it is. A lot of times that is what's causing it. And again, if you come across any spots that need to be adjusted to, you can do some cross fiber friction or some circular friction. Just try to get the knots out. Just play with them for just a second. That's again, if they have a lot of knots and they want a full body massage, you have to determine how much time you want to spend on the legs. We can also do some fooling, which is just pulling apart. You can strip the muscle coming up in areas. Again, you want to be careful how far up this inner hand, the medial part of their leg goes. Just again, so we don't make them feel uncomfortable. You can do soft fist effleurage. As a side note, if you need more pressure, especially if you're working on this IT band right here, instead of trying to push in at a weird angle, you can come in directly from the side, and all you need to do is tuck your elbow into your hip, lean in, and let that carry you. On the lower leg is the same type of thing. We're doing effleurage, warming it up. Now, if you want to work the whole leg, you can. I like to work it from. I like to work the proximal side than the distal. Now, it looks like when I talked before about my thumb, but when I'm doing this particular technique, this is how I effleurage with my thumb. I'm putting the pressure in between where my arm is lined up, so it's not actually dragging my thumb on this case. Actually, most of the pressure is coming right through that part right through here. So it's not actually dragging my thumb, even though it may look like it. That part's not. That's different than if you drag your thumb across this way, where this is causing it. That will cause pain. You do one-handed, two-handed. I do like to strip the calf muscles. Again, you can do fooling, spreading apart. And then we can do petrissage, alternating two-handed petrissage up and down. Now again, we're moving our hips, so the hip is moving and lifting with your hand. There's a variation on that called praying hands. You take your hands together and you kind of squish the muscle in between, lifting and pulling, lifting and pulling. And of course, we're back to effleurage. Once I work the calf area, the leg area, I usually will go up and down the whole leg again. Now again, I am lightening up, coming over where I'm not actually putting pressure, even though it looks like I might be going over. And I kind of go over the same leg again, and I'm just making sure that everything, all the lymph, all the blood is going towards the heart. That's what we want to do. And now if you want to, another technique is called a nerve stroke. So if you're doing deep pressure particularly, I like to do this with legs. You can do this with just like the back too, but I will just come up and down the leg 3 times just to calm down. Works well on the back too. All right. So then after we work the leg, you want to do if you want to do the nerve stroke, do the nerve stroke. What I'll do is I'll re-drape the leg before I will move on to the feet. So in this particular place, just putting my hand underneath the knee just for support, just like I picked it up before. I'm going to slide this back through. I'll put her foot back down on the bolster, and I'm going to keep this as close to her body as I can. Just re-drape. Take it out from underneath her hip. And that way when we're ready, all we have to do is, what I like to do is like to undrape in whatever section I'm working on and re-drape when we're not, and then undrape the feet. With the feet, this is where we do a lot more detail work with our hands. You want to be really careful with your hands to make sure that you don't actually injure yourself. Just take a little bit of cream, very little, and apply it. This is just a routine I do. Again, there's many ways to do the feet. A lot of people like to sit down with that. It's a good time to sit down if you're working the feet. I generally don't. But when we're applying pressure down, when I'm stripping across the foot, stripping the muscles in the foot, I generally, again, it's one of those times you want to make sure that everything is lined up as you can get it. And then these feet, these muscles in the feet, the tendons, all that, they're really, sometimes they're really tight, sometimes they're tender, sometimes you just want to check to see what kind of quality touch you need, because she's tight right in through here. So I don't want to go blasting through these feet and just tearing through like I would a big muscle. It's going to be gentle. Let's see. Work the pad of the foot. Checking to see what I feel. If you're familiar with the reflexology, kind of feel this stuff and see whether they're having some blockage. See where the knots are. Yeah, I'm trying to keep everything lined up as much as I can. Sometimes it's a little bit hard depending on the angle you're at. So again, we're trying to watch what we're doing, so you kind of move around. I would just went down with the foot, so I'm gonna go up on the heel. And again, try to keep everything lined up as much as possible. And like I said, there's many ways to do it. You know, this is just something I have a tendency to do. If you find something that works for you, as long as your body mechanics are good, I say go for it. You know, you can work along that arch. Something I also like to do is bring my fingers together, rub on the ankle area. Sometimes that feels good for the therapist as well. Another technique is I'll do a soft fist. I'll hold the foot. Now I'll just run down the foot. Again, I'm just tracing along. Sometimes I'll take it and I'll pull the foot, getting pressure. Another thing I like to do that depends on how much time I have, because sometimes I'll flip the client and I won't always be able to work the anterior side of the foot, is I'll go ahead and go in between the metacarpals. Some clients like that. All I'm doing is rubbing in between. I'm just gliding. Now move on to the other foot.